All right. So, good morning, everyone. I am Jennifer, and that's Samantha over there. We are Edusoulmates, and today we are going to be presenting to you about asynchronous learning. I'm going to introduce myself really quickly. We're going to be moving ourselves around tonight on the screen. Again, I'm Jennifer. I spent 2 years in corporate industry before I became a teacher. I also spent 13 years in insurance part-time. So some of that was while I was teaching. This is going to be my 10th year teaching, and I am a business teacher in Carteret County. Before this, though, I was a teacher in Lenoir County. I taught business and marketing, and I was also a digital learning specialist. I am married. I have 2 daughters. One is 2, and the other is 2 months. I have a cat and a crazy dog who I'm sure will try to show herself at some point during our video. I am extremely passionate about empowering teachers and instilling a love for learning in my students and also finding solutions to all the digital learning problems. It's like Tetris for me.
Hey, I'm Samantha, and this is year 14 for me in education. I have worked in Duplin County, Jones County, and Lenoir County. I have also worked for North Carolina Virtual Public Schools. Right now, I teach K-5 STEM in Lenoir County, and I also teach OCS English 3 for North Carolina Virtual. I have sections of students across the state, which is really cool. I have pretty much done everything except I have never taught 6th or 7th grade. I have also been a digital learning specialist, and I'm married with 3 sons, and both of my parents are retired teachers. I am passionate about engaging learners, and virtual teaching and co-teaching is totally my jam. And just so you guys have a little background on Jen and I, we were digital learning specialists together in Lenoir County and had been working together for about 6 months. And at our Christmas party, we were participating in an icebreaker, and we both answered, there was a question about our high school mascot or something like that. We both answered the same way and did not even realize that we had been working together for 6 months and had actually gone to high school together and like remembered each other from high school. And we had been meshing really well together before that. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, this is my person who totally gets how I think and how I think about education. And so we deemed ourselves the Edusoulmates. So that's our backstory.
And ever since then.
And now Jen teaches at the school that we graduated from. So it's kind of come full circle.
It really has. And I'm teaching with some of our teachers, which is even crazier.
So today we're just going to talk about asynchronous teaching and learning. And this is kind of our lesson plan for the day. Some things that you got to have with asynchronous teaching and learning are clearly communicated expectations between everybody involved, students, parents, teachers. You've got to be able to chunk those lessons and the concepts and not give it to them all at one time. And highly personalized and specific feedback is also super important when we're dealing with asynchronous teaching and learning. All right, so the biggest piece, especially in K-5, and that's where I am right now, so that's kind of my level of expertise right now, is clearly communicated expectations. With little kids and with big kids, you have to spell it out for them. What do you expect them to do in each lesson? So you can kind of see there, I've given an example. Step 1, you're going to do this. Step 2, you're going to do this. Step 3, you're going to do this. If you are creating lessons for very young kids who are pre-readers, kindergarten, 1st grade, some 2nd graders, hey, there's a baby. If you're recording, you should record or video or even do a verbal thing for those babies that are not reading yet, because you don't know if they have parents at home who are reading their stuff to them. So that's just an extra piece that you can put in there. Or if you're dealing with struggling readers, kids that you know struggle to read, then there's no confusion. Something else that is super helpful for our little kids is a learning agenda every day. And there's a sample on here from a teacher in my building, and I just think this is really pretty and cute. It doesn't have to be this pretty and cute. But you can see where this teacher has laid out the links for everything that the students need to do that day with the times. She's even given like a to-do list and then like a may-do list, and everything is just linked right in there in one nice, neat package. Also, with manageable chunking, mini lessons. Mini lessons are great for all grade levels, but K-5, we're kind of used to this mini lesson concept. They are perfect for recording. You do need to consider your video length. You need to think about kids who like to watch YouTube or kids who like to watch TikTok. How long are those videos? Most of them are only, 7 to 10 minutes. If you're going beyond that 10-minute mark, then you are losing kids' interest. The engagement goes away. You need to use a script. If you're just starting out and you're nervous, you can do whatever you need to do to make yourself more comfortable. Those mini lessons can be uploaded to a couple of different places. And if you're thoughtful when you're making them and you don't reference specific days or seasons or holidays or your specific students' names, you can reuse those videos over and over. You can use asynchronous teaching videos to front load things, unfamiliar vocabulary, new tech tools. If the county or district is fixing to push out a tech tool and kids are not going to know how to use that on their device, make an instructional video. You can do guided reading books. The most important thing too that you need to think about with this is your students. Even if you've not physically met them face to face yet, you know them. And if they need a variety of tools to keep them engaged, or do they need consistency to keep them from being confused?
All right, so this is going to be about manageable chunking, and this is just a demonstration of what my announcements look like. I teach 9-12, so I teach everybody 9 through 12. I have high flyers all the way down to your inclusion students, and so manageable chunking is important, but also I'm only seeing my students 2 days a week right now. So I make sure that I'm giving them things that I feel like can be accomplished in 2 days in the classroom, and then things that can be accomplished 3 days at home. I like to have things clickable and clearly defined. So you can see we're required to have our students check in every single day to tell us that they're present. So I have a check-in for each day except for Labor Day because we have no school. Yours does not have to look this pretty, I promise. And this is really just a setup. Like, I set this up and I reuse it every week over and over and over, and I just changed the links. Over on the right-hand side at the bottom, you will see I've also included a video demonstrating what students should do while they're distance learning. And literally, I'm walking my students straight through the steps of what to do. Additionally, it is embedded already in there. I don't want my students to have the ability to leave Canvas. If they can leave Canvas, they're going to leave my classroom. And you just think of it like a hall pass. They're going out and walking the halls because they need to go potty, and it's going to take them 30 minutes to come back, and they're not going to get their work done. When it comes to feedback, I am a huge supporter of positive, personalized feedback. When you've got your high flyers that are making 100 every time, you still need to encourage them and support them. So here you see that this kid did a great job. And so I said, great job, Matthew. You provided clear images and definition for each CPU part. If I want to reuse that again, I'll just copy it and paste it and change his name. But also you see at the bottom there, I've circled a Canvas hack for you. Because in SpeedGrader, you can actually video yourself giving feedback, and the kids, even high schoolers, love seeing you as a teacher, hearing you say, good job, Matthew, you did a great job. Even the big kids thrive on that. But when students make mistakes, this can be a hard one. How do you handle that? you will see out here, this is how I used to handle it. I used to just put a pin mark wherever they got it wrong. And when we went virtual, 100% virtual, I felt that I needed to be a little more descriptive. So now at the bottom, I'm going to say, you got most of these right, Mark. Just remember, CDs, as we discussed, are just considered to be digital. I'm descripting what he got wrong. He did a great job getting most of them right. But I just want to reinforce what happened and where he went wrong and why he lost the points he lost.
Just some more tips on feedback. It's often easier to record your feedback or video yourself than it is to type it out. It's faster for us to talk than it is to type. And a lot can get lost in translation when you type your feedback. Kids can't hear your tone of voice. We talk about that when we're talking about emails. We don't get to hear people's tone. And that's the same way when we're giving feedback to kids. It's also a lot easier to give a better explanation if you can show them what you need them to do. The number one way to personalize, the easiest way to personalize student feedback is to use a kid's name. But if you're going to use their name, you have to spell it correctly and you have to pronounce it correctly. If you're not sure how to pronounce a kid's name, ask them. That's what you would do if they were in your classroom face to face. You just, send them a message. Hey, can you record yourself saying your name for me so I can practice saying it the right way, because it's important for me to say your name correctly. If you are currently 100% virtual and you have not met your children, your students face to face, you have to use the resources that you have available to you to get to know those kids. So talk to their former teachers. Go ask their teachers from last year or the year before. What can you tell me about how the student likes to work? What can you tell me about their, what really drives them or motivates them? Or talk to the other teachers that they currently have. We know even when kids are here with us 100%, sometimes they connect with other teachers more than they connect with us. And so use those relationships that they maybe are building with other teachers. Create surveys or digital forms for your students to complete. Ask them questions like what their favorite color is or what they would do if they had $1 million. Call parents and ask them to tell you about their kid, especially when you have younger kids. And if you like Flipgrid videos can encourage community and peer relationships, because kids can post a video and then other kids can watch it and respond to those videos. And you as a teacher can moderate all of that and make sure no one's, putting anything there that's inappropriate. One of the biggest things that I've learned about feedback is using the feedback sandwich. North Carolina Virtual spends a lot of time training us as teachers on how to give effective feedback. And this is a technique that I learned from them. You acknowledge or compliment the child first. Sometimes it's hard to find anything to compliment the kid on, especially if they have done dismally on the assignment. So you can say something like, I appreciate your effort. That is, for me, that is my go-to comment when I can't find anything else positive to say. I appreciate your effort. Then reinforce or redirect. What happened? What did they do wrong? What do you need them to fix? And then finish it off with the next action. Can you fix this and resubmit it? Or you can just say, thank you, whatever you need for them to do. So you kind of do a positive and then the not so positive and then like the next step. It's all put into one nice little sandwich. All right, so some of the nuts and bolts of recording lessons. The first thing you have to do is find a video recorder that you're comfortable with. YouTube can be great if you're just doing, if you're just videoing yourself. You can go live and there's an unlimited time length, but YouTube will not let you screencast within YouTube. I, for years, used Screencast-O-Matic because I loved that it would give me a link or it would give me the option to embed my video. It would give me the HTML code. It has a 15-minute limit on the free account. And I never had anything but the free account. So it's great for mini lessons. Jen is the queen of Screencastify, so I'll let her talk about that for a minute.
Screencastify is kind of similar to Screencast-O-Matic. On its free version, you only get 5 minutes for a video, which sometimes for me, when I was using the free version, I felt like I was racing a clock. But I also liked it because it did help me stay concise in my directions. My students don't want to listen to more than 5 minutes of directions. And then I liked it because I could upload it straight to Google Drive. So if I'm sharing a link with just one kid, I can just send it straight to that child. Whereas if I am sending it to my staff as a recording for this is how you do this, I can upload it to YouTube, and then it's also then available on YouTube for posterity's sake.
And Loom is my current new obsession. I found out about it this summer. It is wonderful, and they have a free version for educators that is unlimited length. It does allow you to just record your screen, just record your camera, or do a combo of the two. You can do a screen share and have your face in the, you can actually move the little circle all around. It can be in the top and the bottom and the middle, wherever you want it to be. And like I said, it's free for educators. You have to go through the registration process, but like super great perk. Okay.
It has a really nice like editor feature in it too, so you can
Oh yeah,
ready like cover pages on it and all that.
Yeah, I forgot about the editor that comes in there with it too. And it will allow you to link, embed, or download the videos when they're finished. You can screen record on your computer if you have a Mac, and you can easily find directions for that all over the internet. Windows is a little more complicated. A lot of that depends on the operating system that you're using, and Windows is not my jam. I'm a Mac girl all day, every day. But when you have the other options like Screencast-O-Matic, Screencastify, and Loom, you really don't need to, stress about trying to find a screen recorder on your computer if you're using Windows. There are other free and paid options, Zoom, Camtasia, Jing. We had a ton of teachers in my district who were using Zoom over the summer to record their lessons. They would start a meeting and then join in with a separate device, an iPad, a phone, whatever, as their document camera, and run a meeting, but it was really a lesson. And then when the recording was finished, it would download to their computer, and then they had a little lesson. So, people, you use what you got to use in times of desperation. Camtasia and Jing, I've messed around with them some. They are both better in the paid version. And I know some districts pay for those things. You do have to be careful about recording inside of the platform. If you record inside of Seesaw or record inside of Class Dojo, those videos are trapped there. You cannot download them and pull them somewhere else. They're stuck in that platform. So sometimes that's fine, but most of the time, especially if you want to reuse these videos that you're spending so much time on, don't record them inside of the platform. Jen, you want to talk about planning?
Yeah. So when you're recording your lessons, you definitely need to think about who's your audience. So are you recording this for whole group? Are you recording this for small group? Are you recording it for one-to-one feedback? Knowing that, like I mentioned with how I use Screencastify and how I upload things as well, it will determine what you're using, how you're using it, and how you're going to share it. You also need to plan and think about, is this a video I can use for another lesson, or is this something super specific to what's going on right now? Because that can dictate what your recording looks like and how you upload it and what you use. And then lastly, plan to have your supplies and manipulatives on hand right there. Don't make it so that you have to keep getting up and going and hunting everything down. So if you're needing manipulatives during your lesson, go ahead and get them and put them next to you. Keep them close by. If you have a toddler that will come steal them, put them in a box so they can't do that.
Surely no toddler in your house. When you're recording your lessons, especially when you first start with recording lessons, don't be afraid to script it, write it out, do what you have to do. I know when I first started teaching my very first year, I scripted everything. Like I would write down what I planned to say because I was so nervous I would say something wrong. You can do that when you're recording asynchronous lessons. One of my peer teachers in my building said that when she gets ready to record, she writes her script on her whiteboard and then like reads off of it like it's a teleprompter, which I think is a great idea. Use what you have to use. Practice. Don't be afraid to practice. Go through it first, kind of rehearse it in your head or rehearse it with someone else, what you're going to do, what you're going to say. And start with low stakes recording. One of the easiest things you can record when you're first starting is a book. Like you reading aloud a book. Read it just like you would read it if your kids were there with you. Read the pages, turn it around on the screen so that everybody can see the pictures, and then read the next one. Or if you're an older teacher and you don't have picture books, you can still record yourself, reading a chapter of a novel or reading, an article out loud to your students, something that you would, ask them to read in class. So start with low stakes, and then as your confidence builds, just keep working your way up. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And remember that your students love to see you. They don't care if you look a hot mess. They don't care if you are burping a baby on your shoulder. They don't care. That's part of them seeing us as real people too. We're getting to see inside of their lives in a way that we never have before because, we're doing all this virtual teaching. So it's kind of nice for them to see the flip side of that too, that we are real people and that we are facing the same kinds of challenges that they are.
Yeah, it lets them know that we're human as well, and that humanistic feature is super important. Or if you're like me and you don't practice, just remember that when you're recording lessons, you can just delete and try again. Or if your dog won't stop barking, you can delete and try again.
I used to worry about when I first started teaching that I would I'd go home and I'd pick apart the lesson in my head and I'd be like, oh my gosh, did I teach this wrong? And the beauty of recording your lesson is like, if you've taught something wrong, if you've worked that math problem out the wrong way, you could just delete it and start over and nobody has to know.
Exactly. So once you've recorded your lesson, you need to think about where you're going to store it. Cloud-based storage is probably your easiest bet. You just need to make sure that wherever it's getting stored, there's room. One of the beauties of YouTube is there's pretty much unlimited space in YouTube. So that is actually one of my personal favorites to upload to if I'm uploading something I'm keeping for a long time. I just make sure it's uploaded as unlisted so that you have to have the link in order to be able to access it. And then things like Zoom, Screencast-O-Matic, and Loom, they have their own cloud-based storage depending on what features you have. That is one thing I like about Loom is they have their own storage right there. And since it's free for teachers, we don't have to worry about running out of space.
That's right. You do have to be careful with Zoom. If you are storing stuff to the cloud in Zoom, you want to check with your system administrator, your account administrator to see what your storage plan looks like because I think Zoom does have a limit on the storage and it can get junked up pretty quickly because video files are big. If you have slow internet, it's way easier to share a link than it is to upload a video. My internet at home is awful. My internet at school is great. At home, it's awful. And I figured out really quick over the summer that it was easier for me to share links than it was to have to actually upload videos. It would take a 10-minute video 3 hours to upload into Google Drive. So it was just way easier for me to just, share a link. You can insert your video into assignments. Seesaw, Google Classroom, Google Slides. You can kind of integrate all of those videos into those things. And then on Canvas, you can also embed your video. And I've seen a lot of teachers who are just like putting the YouTube link, so the kids click on the link and it diverts them to YouTube. Well, if you've ever watched any YouTube, there's tons of ads, there's all the suggested videos on the site, and kids, like Jennifer said earlier, are just gonna wander off, and maybe they'll come back to your class and maybe they won't. So embed that video into your Canvas assignment or your page or your announcement. That way they don't have to go anywhere. It's right there.
Yeah. So we want to thank you guys for coming and watching our video today and joining us. We want to invite you to like, comment, and share on our video. And please invite your Edusoulmate to come join us in this wonderful group as we continue to grow. And we also, next week, we're going to be doing our video on engagement.
Yes, student engagement, because it's hard when you're with them face to face, 10 times harder when it's virtual and they have all those other distractions going on. So yeah, next Saturday, we will definitely be talking a lot about student engagement. We'd love to hear questions you have about student engagement or comments or even tips that you have used in your classroom so we can include them in our Saturday session. Thanks for watching.